Welcome to Mania. I'm not, but the show is. And today we're going to be talking about Mandalorian. And, let's review it. Was it dope or was it whack? Well, it's complicated. Okay. So, The Mandalorian, it's about a bounty hunter, and he's pretty much hunting bounties. That's pretty much what it is. Okay. That's pretty much like the gist of it. Have you played the game Star Wars Bounty Hunter? The Mandalorian. There you go. Nah, seriously. Okay, he's hunting bounties, and he when he goes to this guy in a bar, he's like, they kind of give him half price for like a bounty or whatnot. Then they tell him to go to some other guy, and basically he's tasked with another bounty hunter that's like a robot, which he isn't even told about. That's even on this little quote unquote bounty hunter mission, and well, that's really it. They just do a bounty hunt, and they find, spoiler alert, no, I'm not going to spoil it. They find something that I think will make all Star Wars fans go, whoa, it's one of the things where the ending of this episode is one of the best things Disney's done with their Star Wars. Like, it's one of the best things that Disney's even done. I'm like, okay, I buy it. There's nothing else, yes. So there's nothing really else that's good because, yeah, disappointment. Okay, it's not whack, but it's definitely not dope. I'm going to give it the rare okay rating, It's, if you like Star Wars, I'm sure you'll like this, but I'm sick of using that excuse for everything. Oh, if you like this, then you'll like that. No more tis for tats, okay? I recommend it. I recommend it in the end. I'm going to recommend it because for the most part, it was entertaining. It didn't feel too long. I was afraid that it was just going to be a whole bunch of scenes of people just like talking with Star Wars effects in the background. And every now and then they're like, okay, let's kick in the action sequence. But no, I do like where they're going. The problem with this is that it was just too much hype. This was more hyped than the Rise of Skywalker. And it doesn't live up to it. Man, Jon Favreau generally has been living up to the hype of most of his movies. I think he's a great director when you're not really expecting anything from him, like Iron Man 1 or Elf or, those type movies, the Zathura. But when it's almost like every time we expect him to, like, drop something great, he almost just gives us something all right. Like Iron Man 2, or The Lion King, but when it's something that we'd even expect from him, like Jungle Book, like out of nowhere, we're like, holy shit, this is great, I'm not to say there's anything wrong with his style or anything like that. I just didn't feel, and this is just something I don't feel from any of the Disney Star Wars movies. There's never a sense of awe in it. I thought I was going to get it from this TV show, looking at all these creatures and different worlds, but no, they're just stuck on a desert planet like they've been doing for all these movies. And look, here's the difference. When the prequels, when the originals first came out, yes, they didn't have the ability to freaking put you on a set and teleport you to a different, world like they do now. Now you can sit on a set and have a green screen and you can be anywhere. You can be standing in a different universe. Back then they couldn't. So you know what they did? They shot on location. They shot scenes in like the Sahara Desert and or the Mojave Desert or what have you. They shot scenes in Hawaii and California's redwood forest and whatnot. So that actually made sense. That made sense in a way. The problem with these new Star Wars movies and this new Star Wars TV series is that it's just Star Wars now. There's no sense of awe. There's no sense of something being bigger than you. Like, show us some respect. Like we haven't seen Star Wars in 10 years, and then when Force Awakens comes out, it's just a rehash of stuff that we've already seen, and the effects aren't eye-popping, and it's crazy to me because Star Wars should be the best looking thing out. Look, when Star Wars came out back in the 1980s, they were some of the best. They were the best looking movies of that day. You couldn't compare nothing, except like maybe Alien and those new Star Trek movies at the time. But still they weren't at a level of Star Wars when it came to like innovating special effects. Like even the prequels, yes, they didn't win, Oscars for their visual effects, but they were nominated. And on top of that, the only reason they didn't win was because they lost to other films that were pushing the boundaries, like Lord of the Rings, like The Matrix, like King Kong, which still looks realistic today. Like when I watch these new Star Wars movies, or and by extension this new Star Wars show, it just seems like they're just dressing people up in Star Wars cosplay and filming them. That's what it looks like. They look almost like high budget fan films, and this is no different. Okay, cool. We got a bounty hunter show, and it seems like people were really hyped for this, almost to spite the movies. Like, oh, I'm not worried about those movies. I'm just gonna watch The Mandalorian. Like, no. Obviously, it's not gonna be, it's obviously it's not gonna be like a clear difference. I'm like, yes, I think it's better than the movies. Yeah, like I think The Mandalorian, the episode I watched, like for instance, if I just look at it and by itself, I'm like, that would have been a cool like Star Wars short made fan film. You know what I mean? But it still feels like it's not coming from George Lucas. It doesn't feel like these are his ideas. When I look, it was a creature that popped out the water. That was like that was just like a big wall, like a giant walrus. Why? What creature designs are you guys working with? Who's doing your creature designs? Like that's what I want to know. I want to know who's doing the creature designs for these new Star Wars movies. Because like after seeing stuff like the Raptor in Force Awakens, or the giant aliens with the big titties and like shooting out the green milk. Also, the green milk was in all the Star Wars movies. You can see it actually in A New Hope, like when they're drinking that green stuff or that blue stuff. That's where they get the blue milk from. They get it from the creature. I'm not mad about that. I'm just mad that ever since George Lucas has left this franchise, the art design is dead. The art design, that's why they're not selling as many toys as they used to sell. Like, because even in the prequel era, the design for the ships looked amazing because he was going to sell those for toys, So George Lucas, and you can watch this in the mini documentaries, he was really like, he had a knack for designing like cool stuff, like cool toys. So that's why a lot of people will call like Phantom Menace very toyetic, or the prequels. One of the criticisms for them was that they were really toyetic, which was a word I think made by Joel Schumacher when he was making the Batman and Robin. They're like, oh, this is a toyetic. They're the designs that it basically means the design that's obviously made to be a toy. And I don't care that something is made to be a toy when it's in Star Wars, because a lot of the stuff in Star Wars is supposed to kind of look like toys, big budget toys almost, So I can kind of see why people aren't really getting into these new movies as much, because when you look at it, there is nothing that these movies are doing that something like the Star Trek nowadays isn't doing, Like, oh, big lightsaber, lightsaber fights, obviously that's unique, but like big space battles, you can see that in anything now. You can see that on TV with Battlestar Galactica. You can see that everywhere now. If you're not doing anything unique, then, people are going to call you out on it. And I think when I was watching Mandalorian, it started to hit me. Like, this is the problem. Like, I'm watching this, and, like, the creature design is off. There's no awe in the special effects. And what I mean by that is, every Star Wars movie should be like an Avatar sequel. Don't you see how James Cameron's just taking his time with the Avatar sequels, and people are pissed about that? I'm like, wait, so you don't want them to rush something, but then you don't want them to take too much time? Like, come on now. So, with the Avatar sequels, they're taking their time because they want the special effects to blow people away, and hopefully the story. But they really want people to go into the theater and be like, what am I looking at? This is crazy. That's how Star Wars was back in the 1980s and in the early 2000s. People went to those movies, and you can act like you didn't like the prequels back then. That's fine. You did. Everybody did, because those movies were amazing back in the early 2000s. So when you went back and you went and watched the prequels back then, the special effects and come on, compare that to what was coming out, like The Mummy Returns, everything that's not Lord of the Rings, like The Mummy Returns and stuff like that. These were amazing special effects. You didn't see anything like this. The fact that we're now starting to do what those movies are doing, like shoot everything on green screens and whatnot, it just shows how ahead of the time they were. With these movies, they seem like they're intentionally trying to be retro. That's the problem. They're just trying to be these retro Star Wars movies that they think we remember and that we like. And it's like, that's not what we want. Like, Star Wars isn't in the aesthetics to me. Like, even when I watch, like I can still see, shades of what's going to be A New Hope in A Phantom Menace. Because it's coming from the same guy, so the same type of ship design or the way the angular curves are on the ship, it just seems like Star Wars. For these movies, it just seems like people who watch Star Wars and they're just giving you what they think is in Star Wars. And I'm sorry that this review kind of turned into a review for the series, but I think I think everybody was looking for this TV series before we even saw it or knew what it was even about. We just assumed that it was going to be good. We assumed it was going to be better than the movies. And for some reason, people assumed that this was going to be the Netflix killer. The Mandalorian, supposed to kill Netflix? In fact, I'm going to make a video about that, too, about all these people making this big deal about the death of Netflix. This has been going on for ever since Disney announced that streaming service. Everybody's been, bye-bye Netflix. I won't do Netflix no more. Shut up. Unless you're the type of person that jacks off the Disney content all day, and there's really nothing on Disney Plus that will just pull you away from Netflix. Heck, in fact, hell, my shit's been stopping, and I got great internet. My shit's been unable to connect. So that's BS. And if this show is supposed to be the show that kills the Netflix shows like Stranger Things and whatnot, yeah, right. Get out of here. This is an average, okay show that could have been on TV. In fact, where are the other episodes? Oh, they're gonna do it weekly? Why? I don't get that. Look. It's one thing, to stream a show, to have a show for streaming and you can't watch it on TV. Okay, cool. It's supposed to be on a streaming network. But I thought the point of you streaming a show is that you have all the episodes available right there. I don't want to wait like it's TV for another week for an episode. That's the point of binge watching. And there's some people who are like, oh, I'm kind of against the model of everything at once. I kind of think that you should. No, I don't care about building up buzz. Oh, you got to build up buzz for each episode. Well, here's the buzz for the first episode. It's whack. But I wouldn't have felt like that if I had more episodes to watch. They did the same thing with Titans and Doom Patrol. It's like, y'all, just release the damn episodes all at once and let us go through it. Stop trying to get hype all throughout the year. Oh, this episode. Okay, cool. Then you're acknowledging that you're ripping us off. If that's the case, Disney, put this show on ABC at 8 p.m. on Sunday nights, or on the Disney Channel or whatever. Put this on, I don't know, FX or whatever, Put this on ABC at 8 p.m., Sunday nights or Saturday nights or whatever. Since we have to wait a week for an episode, because at that point, what the hell am I buying this service for? I'm buying the service to weekly watch a show that could just be on TV. Like, this show could literally be on TV. It's the same. It's like, actually, I can't lie. I believe the Star Trek series did it differently. I think they dropped all their episodes at once. I believe. I'm not sure. I believe they just dropped all their episodes at once, like everything in the season at once. Like, that was the model that they were doing. And I hope Netflix and other streaming services doesn't do this stupid new model that Disney and Warner Bros. Have been doing, where they've been basically they've been basically getting over with your money. They'll tell you, hey, come to this streaming service, $9 a month or whatever, $5 to $9 a month. Okay, cool. What does this third service entail? Okay, all the Disney and all these other shows. Okay, cool. I wanted to watch them, I guess, cool. But when it comes to the new series, it's like, okay, where's the new series? Here, one episode. Oh, so it's weekly. Why is it on a streaming service if I had to weekly tune into this shit? Why not put this on TV, then maybe just put it on a streaming service after the episode airs like Hulu? To me, it's just no point in waiting for that. It's just killing binge watching. That's the whole point of like us getting out of that era of TV. We don't have to, like, that's why on demand existed. We shouldn't have to wait and get promoted like each week of the year for a new episode of a show. I just think that's pointless. That's like that model is so pointless. It doesn't make sense. It makes sense for the company. Yeah, you want to keep holding the new episodes above our heads like a fish hook with bait on top of it. Like, here you guys go. Here's I want a little bit. No, next week. Oh, can I? No. Ha, when a week comes, ha, they got you. They got you because you've been waiting for that. But it's like, I would have spent this like entire day watching the whole series, Now it's like, I watched the first episode and I gotta, I'm looking, I'm like, I don't know if I'm into it like that. And like, I don't know if I'm gonna come back. That's the problem of you doing it weekly by weekly. Because when you put out something that's wacky, we don't want to come back. But it's different if you got it all at once, like all these episodes at once. You're like, you know what? I can just watch this, then watch the second episode, and you might run into an episode that you like, and you're like, man, I can't turn this off. But now it's like, we're going to be waiting week by week, and it's going to be the thing where people are, what's this theory, what's that theory? When we would have had it already. We would have had the whole story laid out for us already. And for some people, I mean, I guess, spoilers, like, watch it. So I think it's dumb that a lot of streaming services now are trying to force, like, or at this point, you're paying for TV still. Like, you're paying for cable still at this point. Like, oh, it's just cheaper cable? Like, I thought streaming was supposed to be different. I thought this whole wait for this was gone. It's like, I don't know. And I wouldn't compare it to what HBO does with Game of Thrones, because HBO is still somewhat a channel still. Like, they still got their little HBO little thing. They still got they stuff. So they kind of got to do that model. But with these other companies, it's like, take from Netflix. The one thing Netflix did right out of all the things that people, want to criticize Netflix on, binge watching is the one thing that's better than any other thing that these other streaming platforms or channels are doing. That they put out a new show like Stranger Things, and the whole season is right there. They're not like, here's one episode a week, here's another episode a week, here's another episode a week. And the problem is that this show the problem is this, that it's just not on TV. If you're going to do something weekly, then it should be on TV, on a network. I don't want to have something weekly popping up on a streaming service that I had to keep going back to, That's why I didn't finish Titans. Because I was like, I'm not going to keep spending week by week coming back to this damn show. And it's not even like a TV show. I don't have time for that. That's why you want to binge watch something. When it's all there, it's like, okay, cool. I can make my time to watch that. I mean, now I could watch all the Titans episodes, but that's the point. I didn't watch it. I wasn't going to watch it when it first came out because I didn't want to wait for any episodes or Monday's new Titan episode airing at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't want that. Just drop the whole season. I'm done with that rant. That rant was literally about just when they don't release the seasons to these shows all together on a streaming platform. I think it's dumb. Now, final thoughts on this TV series. Well, so far, it's okay. It's not whack. It's not dope. So I'm going to give it the rare okay. The rare not meh, but not still with Star Wars and what I'm expecting from it. I'm expecting more, like at this point, like the Clone Wars TV series is better than this. You know, like, well, it didn't start off better. You know, you know, like it's just that there's no sense of awe in there. Like, okay, I'd probably forgive the fact that it's weekly if there was just a sense of awe, if there was a sense of groundbreaking visuals I'm looking at in a Star Wars movie. When I watch even the old Star Wars movies, I like watching them because the stop motion and and the effects, all that stuff is so cool looking, you know? It's better looking than some modern movies, you know? And then when I watch the prequels, especially in 4K, that's another thing. They got the prequels and all the Star Wars movies in 4K, HDR10, you know, all that Dolby Atmos. So, yeah, that's probably the best thing about this service. But seriously, I wanted to see a more, like, just more of, like, a feel like, whoa, there's something out there bigger than me. You know, it's Star Wars. And it feels so grounded. It's like they're trying to ground this stuff, you know? Like, and it just doesn't feel right. At this point when I was watching it, I was like, man, what's the difference between this show right here? What is the difference between a show like this right here and one of the Star Trek series? I mean, yeah, they got the makeup and creatures and stuff like that, and they got they're on a ship. But I was like, man, if somebody walked in right now, they wouldn't even know, like, they think, oh, what, you watching Star Trek? You know, it's because the only thing you can tell that it's Star Wars now is because somebody has a little helmet with the little eye thing in it, you know, the little Boba Fett helmet or the Stormtrooper helmet. Now we just know it's Star Wars just because the aesthetics, you know, like somebody should be able to come into the room and look and like, what are you watching? Star Wars. Oh, I see. You know, it's like easily, you should be able to easily look at that and be like, oh, it's Star Wars. But no, you know, so the Mandalorian, for me, it's not bad. It's just a disappointment. I wanted something better. Like, that's all I wanted, just something better. I don't think, and for the most part, the characters are not interesting. I don't know what's wrong with Disney, but to me, they have two, maybe three interesting characters so far. Finn is the most interesting one. Poe, because Poe don't know how to do his damn job and always screws up, and I like that about him. And Rey, kinda. She should be more interesting, though, being the main character. But when she's on screen, I'm like, oh, that's Rey, you know? But seriously, they've forgot to give us character with this stuff, you know? With like, okay, cool. You have a Boba Fett wannabe guy, okay? Why wouldn't this just be Boba Fett? Why couldn't this just been Boba Fett? You know, like, this guy isn't interesting. He's just your average, like, oh, stop that right there. Okay, like you know, it's not interesting like that. I honestly was bored most of the time watching the series. It was cool, like when he was fighting and shooting stuff out, but when they're just talking and whatnot, it's boring. It's not enough. You need more stuff happening. In the prequels, when they talk, you'll see all these these little cameras like flying around, all this stuff and moving. Remember that scene in episode 1 when they're just debating politics in the Senate hearing? It's interesting because they're floating around in these things like you know that the politics of the Trade Federation could possibly be one. Oh yeah, well my politics of the Trade Federation can possibly be two. All this stuff is moving around. That's what makes Star Wars interesting. That type of stuff, the special effects and the characters. And when you don't have those two things, then what do you have? You have people cosplaying in a Star Wars costume with just a big budget. That's what you have. I'm sorry, that's just what it all feels like. That's what it all feels like. Am I hyped for Rise of Skywalker? Hell yes. I'm more hyped for this than people were for Avengers Endgame. I'm more hyped for this than anything else in a year. I love Star Wars. I'm not more hyped for it than Avatar 2, though. But still, I'm very hyped for Rise of Skywalker. But J.J. Abrams, can you guys please give us cool, interesting creatures, ships, designs, so my nephew could have toys to play with, so people could just look at something and be inspired. It's not just the movie that inspires Star Wars, it's the art design, it's the effects, it's the world that you build it in. You can't just take the aesthetics of the original trilogy of, ooh, look, a forest. Ooh, look, an ice planet. Ooh, look, a desert. You see all that in The Mandalorian, like in the first episode, and I'm sick of seeing these three things in Star Wars. Stop showing us that. Even in the sequels now, what's so unique about them? That they look like the original movies? No. The prequels had the effects of looking futuristic, yet they were set in the past, so they had a different look to them. The originals were that dirty futuristic look, that many films like Blade Runner and Aliens and all and that type of stuff had. You can say Terminator in a way, but it's that dirty futuristic look where, like, a lived-in future. It's like, oh, these people have lived in here. There's computer screens and like buttons and stuff with grease on them and shit like that. And like R2D2 has like scratches on them and shit like that. And dust particles and stuff. Like, he needs to be sprayed with hand sanitizer or whatever, that type of stuff. He needs to be dusted with a dustpan. He need that type of stuff. C-3PO looks just purely chrome in episode 3. I like in episode 4 that he's like scratched up and stuff. But you know why it works? Because the prequels had a clean aesthetic for the past, and now since they're at war, they've blown themselves back to where they're just reveling, looking and scrounging for food and whatnot. Like, that's Star Wars. So for the sequels, in these new Star Wars movies, you know what you have? Nothing. You don't have any unique art style. You're just recycling stuff that we know. Hey, here's a creature that was made with some practical effects. Aren't fans gonna be happy? And fans fell for it. That's why they're pissed. That's why they got pissed for Last Jedi, because they fell for it with The Force Awakens. Because they fell for all those little things where all those sneak peeks where Disney's like, oh look, it's a sneak peek of Star Wars. Ooh, okay, cool. It's a sneak peek of Star Wars. What's gonna be in the sneak peek of Star Wars? Oh, watch it. It's just showing people dressing up in costume, and that gets fans high. Like they're like, oh my god, I can't wait. It's practical effects. No more of that stupid Lucas CGI. Oh no, we have practical effects. What happens? Well, we watch Force Awakens and we get the Kool-Aid moment. Some people drink the Kool-Aid. I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I did not. Some people did. They drank the Kool-Aid, so they actually were into the story in The Force Awakens. So when Last Jedi just did its own thing, it pissed people off. But not just because of that, it's because they didn't have anything else to latch onto. All we had was the story for these new Star Wars movies. That's all you had, because the special effects were not bad, but they were bland. The characters weren't that memorable compared to past Star Wars characters. So all we had, literally, was just a story. And they were just revamping, remastering, remaking, redoing, rebooting. They were just doing the same story over and over again. And when they changed that up, to a lot of fans, they're like, what the hell's going on? It seems like you guys don't even know what you're doing. And they don't. They don't know what they're doing. That's why they keep losing directors. That's why they keep losing... Great, messed up my camera. See that, guys? I messed my camera up because they're so stupid. No, but seriously, they don't know what they're doing. And then we get a show like Mandalorian, where everybody, again, got so hyped, lost their mind off of, didn't even, we didn't even know what it was about. And it turns out, it's a regular Star Wars show, nothing else, nothing more. I mean, I'm still going to watch the new episodes, I guess, when they come out. But I'm still mad that we're waiting on these episodes as if it's Rick and Morty at this point. Hell, I'm more hyped for the new Rick and Morty season. Not because I think Rick and Morty's better than Star Wars. It's not. But they did better with their opening episode than what Star Wars did. Man, way to blow us away. I mean, hey... At least you set the standard, though. You set the bar low. It's okay, it's low down here. But hey, at least the last maybe 5 minutes of the episode, I really thought was great. The little action scene with the robots shooting stuff up and everything, and him working together with the bounty hunter, great. All that's great. What's not great is the fact that, again, there's nothing in here that's new, that hasn't been done before, that hasn't been seen before in Star Wars or any other media. And I think that's a problem with Star Wars. It should be new, not old. We don't need to. Star Wars is the most nostalgic series ever. We don't need that. We don't need to keep going back to that well. We know how it all looks. It's the most nostalgic series ever. This is Mania. I'm not, but the show is.